Get ready for The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's dedicated update show. Events, businesses, and people. Anything and anyone causing a ripple in the community. And now, let's dive in to The Splash Live.
Good morning and welcome to The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's news and talk show each and every day at 8:30 a.m. I'm Tyler Kieft, alongside Dayan Chaaban, hosting the show today and all throughout the week. Diane, good morning to you, and plenty for us to get to on today's edition of The Splash Live. Tell us a little bit about what is in the news this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for watching us. For today's headlines, West Bloomfield Police Department has made a move during ongoing construction. We will bring you all the details on their new temporary lobby. In other news, a former West Bloomfield kicker has found his new specialty. Orchard Lake Fine Arts Show is just 2 weeks away. Patty Narozny provides a preview of this event. A court hearing has revealed that the Oxford High School shooter is likely facing up to life in prison. We'll discuss all the latest developments in this case. Oakland County is playing a significant role in making Michigan one of the top 10 states for business. Dr. Michael Greiner from the Oakland University will join us to shed more light on this achievement. I-75 will be partially closing this weekend in Oakland County. Stay tuned for more information on which sections will be affected. The Oakland County Health Department is closely monitoring higher than normal E. coli numbers at beaches. Hidden gems await you at the Tree Runner Adventure Park in the West Bloomfield. And lastly, get ready for an upcoming air show at the Oakland County Airport. Tyler has the weather updates for us.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice day here for the most part, but it's going to change this afternoon. Some scattered thunderstorms in the forecast all throughout your afternoon, beginning about 3 p.m. and ending at about 7 p.m. In the meantime, 66 degrees as we begin our program this morning. Your high today, 82, and your low, 61. Friday, back to sunny, partly cloudy. 79 is your high, 59 is your low. And then on Saturday, it gets back into the 80s. 80 is your high, 60 is your low. A chance of rain on Saturday, but for the most part, partly cloudy. So a little intermission from the sun today, Diane, but by the most part, this has been a great week. Weather-wise, it's going to be a great rest of your week weather-wise, and as we get into the weekend. We have plenty to get to on today's edition of The Splash Live. A lot of news coming up, and a few people will also join us on today's show. We'll talk a little bit about events coming up in the Greater West Bloomfield community, some projects ongoing in the state, as well as what's making Michigan a great place to start and to move your business. Why Oakland County is playing a big role in that, also coming up later on. Stay tuned. Plenty more up next on The Splash Live.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Like what you see? Beautiful works of art, masterworks of metal, and accomplishments of artistry will be on display near you. All kinds of artists from all walks of life come together to celebrate their skill and appreciate their work's beauty. Hot Works presents the 2023 Orchard Lake Fine Arts Show. Stop by July 29th and 30th between 2 and 10 p.m. between Powers and Daly off of Orchard Lake Road.
When you have a gambling problem, you have a money problem. Don't let your gambling cause you financial hardship. If you or someone you love is struggling with gambling, we can help. Get free confidential counseling and win your life back. Learn more at michigan.gov/problemgambling.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. I'm Dayan Chaaban, joined by Tyler Kieft. Renovations are still taking place at the West Bloomfield Police Headquarters, and a temporary lobby has been prepared to ensure that services remain accessible to the community during this time. If you plan to visit the West Bloomfield Police Department during the construction period, you can follow the blue signs with the white text. They will guide you to the new lobby. These signs will help you navigate the premises easily. Despite all these ongoing constructions, most services are still accessible except the fingerprinting services, which will temporarily be unavailable during this phase of the construction. For more information on the latest updates on the construction, West Bloomfield Deputy Police Chief Kurt Lawson will be joining us tomorrow on Friday morning. He'll provide further insights and progress on this ongoing construction project. Tyler?
Yeah, this is a project that's been ongoing for several months now in the West Bloomfield Township community. We actually have a video on our website on civiccentertv.com of just before this project began. Kurt Lawson with Dave Scott right here on the Splash Live talking about this project as a whole. What it is, it's modernizing the police headquarters, much like we saw when the new fire station was built a few years ago. The police department facility has been outdated for quite a while. They're putting in new facilities that are gender specific for both males and females on their staff, changing facilities, shower facilities, and more. They're updating some of the equipment to modernize it and make it more efficient in today's policing and public safety environment. All of that is ongoing. And that's why if you're going to town hall and you're seeing parts of the police department building look like they've been demolished or they're being replaced, that is what is ongoing. They're updating the police department, and this is just that next phase as they're going to put in an all new lobby in that main area when you walk in those front doors. And so for the time being, that police lobby has moved. Again, as Dayan said, follow the signage on site, and there'll be blue signs right at the entrance of the police department and as you navigate toward that new temporary lobby. And we'll get more indication from Kurt Lawson tomorrow morning, Friday, on the Splash Live as he joins us for all the latest updates and where they're at in that construction project. Some good news down the road at West Bloomfield High School. A really nice story as former West Bloomfield High School kicker and punter Nick O'Shea hung up his cleats just a couple of years ago after finishing his football career at the collegiate level and wrapping up a lifelong love of the game of football on the field. And often what happens with athletes at any level when they've played their final game is they're left asking themselves the question, what is next? What can I do next, either in athletics or in life? And in this case, Nick went on a completely different journey than you would think most people would take after finishing their college football career. He didn't immediately become a coach at the college level. He didn't become a trainer or get back in to football right away. He actually went back to West Bloomfield High School and got into teaching. If you go back a slide there, Calvin, on our screen, we had Nick O'Shea in the middle of that first picture we had up there. You can see him in the blue polo shirt in the middle, in between a couple of guys in pads and holding helmets. The guy in the hat in the middle there is Nick O'Shea, the former West Bloomfield High School punter who went on to play college football. After heading home after being a football player at the college level, he became an assistant coach with the West Bloomfield High School football team and a substitute teacher at WB. And after asking himself that what's next question, ultimately decided he wanted to still be in sports, but also help those athletes like so many helped him on his way up in football. In doing so, he began a new business, Extra Point Solutions, a marketing agency that's focusing on connecting brands and athletes, all that more important in today's age of NIL. What's special about this journey is it's all led him back to the swamp. You see these pictures as we'll continue to cycle through these. These are some pictures that he and his group at Extra Point Solutions took of one of his clients, Zenith, a local Detroit-based football equipment company. And you may recognize some of these athletes. They are all West Bloomfield High School alumni. You can see on the right in this picture, Makari Page, you're seeing in the maize and blue on Saturdays at the University of Michigan, and other recent West Bloomfield High School football stars also featured in this photo shoot. Pretty cool deal there for Nick O'Shea, a West Bloomfield High School graduate just a few years ago, a DECA graduate as well. And it was actually his DECA group at West Bloomfield High School that recognized his alumni prowess in the business world, now also connecting business and football. Really cool story there. On the other side of town in Keegle Harbor, Orchard Lake, and Sylvan Lake, the construction on Orchard Lake Road and Commerce Roads continue at this time, blocking off thoroughfares, making Orchard Lake one way through that full corridor. And that's, of course, affecting many of the local businesses. So what we like to do here on the Splash Live is highlight some of these businesses, let you know some of your neighbors in the community that you can still visit. They are still open during this construction. We'll do a quick rundown of those as you get off of the most immediate detour going to Orchard Lake Road off of Middle Bell, turning left onto Orchard Lake. Right there is Ellen's Bakery and Cafe, open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sundays. Just down the road, Mary Donnelly's Public House in Keegle Harbor, just past Cass Lake Road. That is open 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Shortly after that, you'll get to another bar just down the street and on the opposite side of the road. Brewhouse Bar and Grill in Keego Harbor, open 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday. So tonight closing at 9 o'clock, but then all throughout the weekend, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturdays, it is open in Keego Harbor. You can also get Jets out of Keego Harbor. They've been making posts all throughout the week on social media to encourage those in the heart of the lakes to continue to patronize their business. And they don't even have to go in to that physical location to do so. You can just call them at the number on your screen, 248-682-3744, a locally owned franchise of Jets Pizza. And then one of the morning favorites, the Early Bird Cafe, open 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Sundays, just at the tail end of that construction zone at Orchard Lake Road, just south of Commerce. Another location right there that we've seen recently has been the Pine Lake Market. We had a picture earlier on in the week, probably isn't in our catalog today, of Nick and the team at Pine Lake Market. I spoke to them yesterday. We actually do. There he is. Spoke to him on the phone yesterday, and he, in no short term, said this has been a difficult time for his business. The roads are blocked off. There's not exactly a comfortable way to get to his location. So if you're able to do so by walking through Keego Harbor, a very walkable community in its own right, definitely give some of your local business to these local businesses. Dayan will bring Dayan Chaaban back in. Such an important thing to do in any community at any time, regardless of construction or other constraints, as these small businesses often are what is driving the local economy in our cities and towns.
Absolutely. I think it's very important that we support our economy, we support our people, and we socialize with them. That's the best way to do it. It's the best way to go out there and be with our own people and know our own community and what they are capable of. I'm sure all of these places have some amazing, amazing foods and coffees. So why not support our community when we can?
Yeah, and these are locally owned businesses. These are your friends, your family, your neighbors. You can get to know them, get to know a little bit about the history of these businesses in your city. Some who are just starting out, and others like Pine Lake Market, like Ellen's, like the Early Bird, who have been in town for a very long time. So if you have the chance to do so, maybe outside of those rush hour times in the morning and in the early evenings, go find these businesses, go inside, give them your business, and support them in as best of a way as you can. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. On the other side, one of the premier summer events is coming back in just a little bit over the week, the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, July 29th and July 30th. After the break, we'll speak to Patty Narozny about the 20th annual iteration of this event. Stay tuned. You're watching and listening to the Splash Live.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Many people are feeling overwhelmed and struggling with mental wellness these days. So be kind to your mind. Give yourself permission to breathe. Share your feelings. You are not alone. Have hope. Talk to a Stay Well counselor for free confidential help 24/7 through the COVID-19 hotline.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. You can join us every morning at 8:30 for the latest news and information all around the Greater West Bloomfield area. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dave Scott as we are getting very close to another one of the favorite summer events here, the premier summer events in the Greater West Bloomfield area. For 20 years, the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show has graced the greater West Bloomfield area as one of the top 100 juried art shows in all of America right here in our community. And it is returning in just a little while, July 29th and July 30th off of Powers and Daly Road, just off of Orchard Lake Road, the 20th annual Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. Joining us now on the program is Patty Narozny, founder and executive producer of the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, as well as Hotworks Fine Art and Craft Shows. Patty, thank you as always for joining us.
Hi, Tyler. Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, glad to have you on. Over 20 years of efforts to put these shows forth, but this is the 20th version of this Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. Tough to believe it's been 20 years of this, Patty, but for you, getting to this benchmark year, how does that feel as the organizer of this and to have seen this kind of growth over 20 shows?
Wow, how time flies, huh? Thank you very much for supporting the show, too, for probably all these years. So we work all year round to bring artists to the show who do not participate in other Michigan shows. So people are going to see great artists from all over the country who come to this event to sell their original and personally handmade art. There's something for everyone in all price ranges.
And the key part there you mentioned, original and handmade art. That is one of the big particulars that you're looking for in artists coming to this show. Everything that you're seeing at the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show year after year has been individually crafted by that artist or by those artists at the show. None of it's imported. None of it is duplicated. It is all done by that artist that you're speaking to. And speak to that, Patty, why that is such a focus for your team at Hotworks as you're putting together this and other art shows across the country.
Well, jury does not mean juried in our art show world. And for us, juried means the artist must be making his or her own work. And the focus is originality. Oh, I see you just showed a picture of one of the tents blown down from a storm we had about 3 years ago, and that happens too. So the focus is originality, technique, execution, and booth appearance as part of jurying. So we have a team of artist professionals who help curate the show to make sure that we work with artists who are making their own work and who are, every piece is original, and we don't want to have someone next to them with import who's buying and selling it. It wouldn't be fair to the artist, and it wouldn't be fair to any of the patrons who attend the event when we call it a juried show.
And it's also something that attracts people both in the greater West Bloomfield community, but also from around Oakland County and the state of Michigan to this show. It's something that I can say from speaking to people that have attended this show over the years, and I'm sure you can also attest to the patrons that come to this show, that buy this art, that attend the show year after year. They appreciate that originality and being able to talk to these artists about the actual process they went into to make this particular piece that they're exploring, yes, or possibly even putting into their homes.
Yes, very important. The patron gets to meet the artist at the show, which is very key. We found out after COVID, or during COVID, I should say, that the computer does not help you, the artists, very much sell their work. Now more than ever, the art shows are more important because of the relationship that is formed between the artist and the patron who attends the event. Patron loves meeting the artist. They hear the history, not only behind the piece, but behind the artist and their life experiences. And as it turns out, many of these artists end up being friends, sometimes called family members, and even stay at the homes of some of the patrons who attend the show. Yes, the word is out that the summer show to go to is the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, and how we bring artists to this event that you don't see at other shows is in 2006, we expanded into Florida and North Carolina, where we currently have shows in Boca Raton, Naples, in Sarasota, and it's during the winter time. So that's why we work all year round to recruit artists to this event who you won't normally see at other Michigan shows.
Yeah, Hotworks has been named 18 times one of the top 100 art shows in America. That includes the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show and all of other Hotworks' shows, as Patty mentioned, across the country all throughout the year. You can learn more information by visiting hotworks.org. Learn more about the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show and all the other shows as you're traveling across the country this summer and all throughout the year. The Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, July 29th and 30th in the heart of West Bloomfield Township on Powers and Daly Road. Those roads, it's literally on those roads. They're closed down for several days. And Patty, this is a big operation that involves a major team, not just from Hotworks, but also from within the township. Talk about that partnership, that continued partnership over the years, and how that really does add to building this show and continuing to make it the prolific art experience that it is every single summer.
Well, if we didn't have West Bloomfield's support behind this event, we wouldn't be back, put it that way. And West Bloomfield has been wonderful to work with. Steve Kaplan, Debbie Binder, Chris Darcy, Chief Patton, Fire Marshal Turnquist, they're all part of the show, and especially with helping keeping this event safe. And not only is West Bloomfield involved, I want to thank the city of Kego. We have Waterford involved, the Road Commission of Oakland County, DTE will be hanging the banners across the road, the Oakland County Health Department. There is just a tremendous amount of support, and the team behind this event with making it a success. It's huge. So thank you very much, West Bloomfield and everyone else, for their support and wanting to have the event back, especially. It's key to have the community not only, support the event, but actually want it back. And the patrons who support the event too. It's very key. We need the artists to be able to sell their work for them to come back. So all of that, all those little details add up to the success of the show.
Joining us on the program today is Patty Narozny, the founder and the executive producer of Hotworks, as well as the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, as you're seeing on the screen. Mark your calendars, July 29th and 30th, the Saturday show on the 29th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Sunday, the final day of the show, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., $5 admission for everyone above 13, but 13 and under get in for free. And while we're talking about getting the kids into the art show to see that art and to build their love of art and maybe get an interest in that, I want to also talk about the youth art competition for grades K through 8 and ages 5 through 13. This has become, over the last several years, a key part of your operation at this and other shows. Why is that the case, Patty? What is the purpose of having a youth art competition at this big time art show also?
So very important. To date, we've exposed more than 4,500 students to the entrepreneurship and the rules of doing art shows for a living. And why it's important is I found out that a lot of the artists, they know how to make their work. They don't know how to sell it. They don't know how to display. They don't know how to apply to a professional art show. So not only is it the kids, which is a program that is incorporated into the show to expose them to the rules and entrepreneurship of doing art shows for a living. But we also help new artists get into the show with explaining to them, for example, if their work is there, but they're not applying correctly, we spend a lot of time showing them how to submit their images properly for jurying, submit the booth presentation for jurying. So it's just key. We actually have a special guest this year, is a student of ours who's age 15. His name is Nolan, and his whole family is coming to Fort Myers. He's been with us in Florida for 10 years, and he'll be attending the event this year. Recently, at one of our shows in Florida, he sold a piece for over $2,000. So we want to let everyone know it's not too young or too old to get to know, to doing the art shows and to doing your artwork, because it's something that people love to do for a living, which is key to happiness in your life.
And I know that that's a big passion of yours, is helping these artists get to that next step. And really, if they're not able to already have art be that career and that passion of theirs, you're helping to drive that forward. For you, with that and everything else that goes into putting these together, what captures your interest or it captures your heart the most about putting together this art show in the greater West Bloomfield communities, but also all your other ones all across Florida, North Carolina, and around the country?
Well, it's great working with these communities. And again, I want to, thank West Bloomfield. Civic Center TV has been part of it. So it's these long-term relationships that I've been able to build over the last many years. And working with the same people is wonderful. And coming back every year, you have the patrons who approach me at the show. They actually find me, track me down and say, Patty, thanks for bringing this great event to the community. And, that's what matters. And that's what counts the most.
Patty, it's the 20th annual Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. It is Saturday, July 29th and Sunday, July 30th. As you're getting ready for that show coming up at the end of July, anything special planned for this 20th annual event on Orchard Lake, just off of Orchard Lake Road on Powers and Daly?
We want to make sure that everyone knows that we're going to have plenty of food vendors at the event, so please support them too. We have great entertainment. Sheila Landis Trio, One Love Reggae, have been with us for 20 years, and they'll be performing. And we have Detour Band who will be here performing. Ken Mazer is a drummer who we've been working with for 20 years. So a lot of these people, again, it's wonderful to build these relationships and have people coming back year after year. In addition to the great food and entertainment, we just want to have people enjoy the show. We want everyone to know that the $5 admission supports the nonprofit Institute for the Arts and Education, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And it goes back into programs to support, for example, the Youth Art Competition, the Professional Artist Awards, and all the funds go directly back into producing the show and the cost of producing the event. Not only that $5 ticket, they'll get either a wristband or a stub to come back anytime throughout the years or throughout the show during the weekend. So if they see something that they love, they want to go home, think about it or measure it, they can go home, do that, and then they can bring their ticket to return. So that's really important for the patrons to know also. Plus, there's plenty of free parking behind Beaumont Medical Center, another community partner of ours. In addition, we want to thank all those local businesses in the area, the post office, West Bloomfield Plaza, who make this event possible by allowing us to come into their neighborhood and move in for 3 days and hopefully not disrupt their businesses so much. We really try to work on working with the community so we don't do that, but just allow for the great community event to happen. We should let everyone know that Powers and Daly is off of Orchard Lake Road, just south of Maple. And then they can find Beaumont Medical Center between 14 and 15 Mile. And the parking is in the last back half of that lot. So pretend you're going all the way to the back of that building and you're going to drive very conveniently to the entrance of the show. So everything is pretty convenient for this event where there's not a lot of fighting of traffic and having to find a parking spot, and just enjoy the show. And the crowds are not too heavy where you're smushed in between people where you can't breathe. Especially now we have to be concerned still with COVID, which I want to mention. We still have COVID guidelines in place with lots of social distancing. There's room between the booths and plenty of room in the aisleways too. But we actually do the social distancing still, which is extremely important for the COVID guidelines.
A great example of community partnership and a great example of what goes into making a high quality, classy art show. Patty, thank you so much for joining us today.
And thank you, Civic Center TV and West Bloomfield, for having us and for your support of the show.
The Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, the 20th annual Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, happening July 29th and 30th. That's a Saturday and a Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on July 29th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on July 30th. $5 admission, 13 and under. Get in for free. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. Plenty of more news and information coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Splash Live.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Looking for a midweek meal? Keep the bag lunch at home this summer and enjoy street food in your neighborhood with Food Truck Tuesdays. Enjoy cuisine from around Michigan outside the WB Parks and Recreation Activity Center with a different vendor every Tuesday, like Monkey Business on July 25th. All summer, every Tuesday, Food Truck Tuesday. This community update from Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft, joined with Dayan Chaaban on today's edition of the program. You can always find us live 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday on Civic Center TV, and find us on demand on civiccentertv.com. More headlines making news today across the Greater West Bloomfield area, as we just heard a lot about what's coming up at this year's Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. Another way you can get involved is as a volunteer with the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. The Historical Society is seeking volunteers for their booth at the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show on both the Saturday, July 29th, and the Sunday, July 30th dates. Among the different opportunities you'll have in their booth will be helping manage their presentation table, handing out materials about the Historical Society, their upcoming events, and their other holdings all throughout the year that the community would want to know about, interacting with festival goers, and selling gifts out of their gift shop in that booth, cash only at that event if you're interested in buying some goodies from the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. There are 2-hour shifts that are all throughout both of those days, including some extra shifts after the show ends on Sunday, July 30th, for some cleanup efforts and helping the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society then get out of the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show after the event is completed. If you're interested in volunteering with the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society at this event, just send an email to snelson, that's SNELSEN, at gwbhs.org. That is S. Nelson with an E at the end, SNELSEN at gwbhs.org, or you can visit their website, gwbhs.org, for more contact information about the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show volunteer opportunities and other opportunities to volunteer all throughout the year with our friends at the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. There's another way you can also help them in our local community each and every day as you're heading out to the grocery store. You can use your Kroger purchases to help support local history preservation by the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and other organizations all throughout the community. All you've got to do is use your Kroger Rewards account, log into that, and change it to select the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society as the organization you want to support. More information can be found on that on the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society's Facebook page. So just go to Facebook, search Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society to find more information on ways you can support them in that manner. That helps to support preservation of local history. It helps them to support their local open house programming and other special programs about our local history all throughout the year for West Bloomfield Township, Keagle Harbor, Orchard Lake, and Sylvan Lake as well. Other stories making headlines this week: the Oxford High School shooter is likely to face up to life in prison following a court hearing earlier on this week. In November of 2021, the then 15-year-old shooter killed 4 in his high school and injured 6 more and a teacher at Oxford High School. Earlier this week, Oakland County Circuit Court Judge Kwame Rowe ruled that prosecutors pursuing a life sentence without parole in prison was appropriate in this particular case. Said Judge Rowe on the matter, quote, "The court finds that the defendant's arguments is not persuasive and is without merit. Defendant's argument is not ripe, and the court cannot and will not dismiss the people's motion for life without parole," and closed quote. Now, there still is a chance that this now 16-year-old being accused of these crimes may not face that full life sentence and may still have a chance to get out of prison before the end of his life. Because being that he is a minor, he still has to go through what's called a Miller hearing. Now, this Miller hearing is going to happen a week from today, July 27th. And the purpose of that hearing is that the shooter's attorney will present information on mitigating factors in this particular kid's life that may have contributed to him ultimately committing this heinous crime at Oxford High School in November of 2021. Among those so-called mitigating factors are nature versus nurture. Is this just something innate in his psyche that led him to commit these sorts of crimes? Or was that potentially exacerbated by his home environment, his parenting, his home life, his mental health, circumstances surrounding the crime that may have led him into that situation, as well as his chances of being rehabilitated while in the jail and prison systems here in Michigan? Could he potentially be rehabilitated while in those programs, get back out into society, be a functioning, positive member of society afterward? That is what's going to be at the crux of that hearing that, again, is happening a week from today, July 27th. But at this time, at least earlier this week, Oakland County Circuit Court Judge Kwame Rowe ruled that the prosecutors pursuing a life sentence without parole for the shooter from Oxford High School shooting in November of 2021 is appropriate at this time. So now we hate to bring the mood down on this program, not bring it right back up. This is something we're trying to promote, mostly the positive things happening in our community, but this is, of course, an important story in our community. But we'll change that mood right back. Dayan Chaaban, some fun coming up in our community right here in Oakland County, out in Royal Oak. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so let's bring the positive mood back, Tyler. So the amazing Nickelodeon's iconic Spongebob, which was created by the animator, writer, and marine scientist Steven Heilenberg, is coming to Stagecrafters in Royal Oak. So this is an incredible theater. It's made by the youth. It's going to feature a lot of talents and award-winning musicians such as my personal favorites, Joe Perry of Aerosmith, Jonathan Colton, Panic at the Disco, and John Legend. I mean, Plain White Tees too. This is incredible. This is an incredible theatrical experience. And the best part about it, Tyler, is that this is not only we don't only go to just like enjoy ourselves. It's also supporting our youth community to get out there and be on stage, because Stagecrafters is an organization that provides scholarships for young students to pursue their dreams in being actors or whatever they want to do, like in theater. So that's just an incredible experience. And I prompt everybody to go and watch this with their kids and teenagers. And personally, me, I'm 30 years old and I'll go watch it too. Like, I love SpongeBob.
I mean, that's a classic for people our age, having grown up. SpongeBob, something that we all kind of flocked to as kids growing up for some laughs and to relieve the mood a little bit in the day-to-day life, and certainly something you can still do as an adult with your kids, the next generation. What looks like a really fun show. And Dayan, this also goes back to it being a community-based theater program, and it's something relatively widespread, but it also does isolate into these communities. Stagecrafters, in this case in Royal Oak, presenting SpongeBob the musical, but so many other great local theater groups in our area, such as the Farmington Players. We've had them on a number of times. Of course, you can always see shows at our local high schools all throughout the year, musicals and other stage plays as well. Just another great example of all that. Thank you for that story. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. On the other side, Michigan, a great place for businesses to move and to maintain their business going forward. How does Oakland County play into that, and why has CNBC listed Michigan in the top 10 places to do business in America? Dr. Michael Greiner from Oakland University joins us next to explain that and more on the Splash Live.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiver.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dayan Chaaban. And we know in the state of Michigan, the big focus of the Whitmer administration of late, one of those big focuses has been driving businesses to come into Michigan and keeping our businesses right here in the Great Lakes state. Playing a big role in that is Oakland County, what's becoming a bit of a destination for businesses worldwide looking to move to the United States. So much so that CNBC has listed the state of Michigan as one of the top 10 states for doing business in the United States of America. Joining us to explain why that is the case is Dr. Michael Greiner, Assistant Professor of Management at Oakland University School of Business Administration. Dr. Greiner, thanks for being with us today.
It's great to be here, Tyler, and great to see you, Dayan.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you on the program with us, Dr. Greiner. Michigan, a top 10 state in America for businesses to both move into and to maintain in the U.S. at this time. Why is Michigan in that top 10? What is standing out and making Michigan one of the best places in that top of those 5 tiers, let's say, going by tens in the U.S.?
Yeah, I really like this survey. It's actually data that I've used in my research in the past, and I think it's actually very useful because it's not subjective. They actually look at objective ratings, and some of the places where Michigan really popped up to the top include things like cost of living, cost of doing business. Those things I think most of us kind of have a sense of, but really interesting that I think would surprise a lot of people is tech and innovation. We're actually in, I think, number 12 spot there, which is quite impressive. And it has a lot to do with the fact that Michigan really is a center of innovation in some growing industries, particularly when you're looking at auto with the EVs and the batteries and all that stuff that's going on. We're really a center for that right now. And you can see that with the investment that we've been getting.
And part of what has made Michigan one of these best states, you mentioned tech and innovation, cost of doing business is ranked relatively high, being business friendly too. And business friendly wasn't necessarily something that was a label for Michigan, even in the last couple of years. What has changed and put Michigan currently by this survey number 15 in the country?
Yeah, they've really made a focus of it. Frankly, I mean, there's just no other way to put it. It's the administration has made a priority out of it, and they've really reached out to business and tried to figure out what are some of the issues that are standing in the way of businesses coming here. And Michigan has also been very aggressive in trying to essentially offer incentives to try to get businesses to come here. And there's one set of research, and I think we've talked about this in the past, that shows that Michigan is actually number one for investment when it comes to green manufacturing and research facilities, with over $2 billion in investment over the past year. So I think it really shows that that at least we're doing some things right here in Michigan.
And in terms of tech and innovation playing a big role in this, Oakland County also playing a big role, I would imagine, in padding some of these numbers for the state of Michigan. We know that there are businesses from all over the world that are moving to Oakland County to start their business because of the automotive industry, the electric vehicle infrastructure that is already here in southeastern Michigan and in Oakland County, and the tech connections that are here in Oakland County. So what sort of role does our local area play in making Michigan in this top 10 of the top 50 rankings?
A huge role. And one of my heroes in my field, his name is Michael Porter. He's a Harvard professor, and he talks about the fact that states have to establish centers of excellence to kind of compete on a global scale. And when it comes to Michigan, and particularly Oakland County, auto is really our center of excellence. People come from all over the world to get access to the expertise that we've got here. And when you look at the schools that we've got, like, for example, my school, Oakland University, we have really focused on trying to develop the kind of talent that will continue to support that. And so as a result of that, you've seen businesses from around the world coming here. I think it's not worth ignoring too, that one of the primary, in fact, I think the top issue that this survey looked at in terms of something that businesses are interested in is workforce. Do we have the kind of skilled workers available that the employers are looking for? And, I was kind of disappointed with Michigan's ranking there. I mean, I think we're number 24, so in the top half, but still not quite where we'd like to be. But it just shows that, the fact that we have the kind of workers that automakers and these tech companies then looking to expand into EVs and into the automatic driving, that all these new technologies, which are really kind of generating a lot of excitement in Silicon Valley, really the expertise to get them done are located here in Michigan and Oakland County.
We got Dayan Chaaban with us too. It looked like, Dayan, you may have had a question for Dr. Greiner. You want to chime in here quick a moment?
Yeah, sure. I was wondering regarding our county, what do you think is the role of Oakland County in all of this and putting Michigan forward? What do we have here in our county that's promoted Michigan as a whole?
Well, again, I mean, I think that it's a statewide effort for sure, but Oakland County is really the leading county in the state, I would say. Certainly in terms of innovation, location of headquarters of major corporations. I mean, we've got Stellantis just about a block away from my university, and a whole host of companies. As you drive up and down I-75, you can just see one headquarters after another, and businesses like to be located close to where other business is happening. That's why another factor that this survey looks at very critically is the overall economy and the infrastructure that's available in the area. And the fact that we do have so much economic activity here in Oakland County kind of builds on itself. And again, that relationship then that you have with government kind of playing a role to encourage business investment, which the state has been very aggressive in, as has Oakland County, as well as also having the universities like of course, my university, Oakland University, and for that matter, we can't understate also the impact of the community colleges. OCC, we've talked about before on this show, really a leading university in terms of student retention, and trying to encourage people to come there and continue their educations afterwards. So all those things have an impact and make this really a very attractive place for businesses to locate.
That's incredible. Honestly, it's incredible what we got here, and we should know more about our county and contribute more to our county as well. Tyler, back to you.
My apologies. I pressed the wrong button there. But yeah, to continue on, there's so much good in this store. And I hate to take a step back and look at some of the not so good in there. And you mentioned 24th in workforce in the state of Michigan, 24th in health, life, and inclusion. But then you get into the bottom half of the metrics. And what stands out the most for me is that we are 36th in education as a three-way tie between Michigan, Florida, and Hawaii. And so while it's a great place, it seems, by these metrics to move a business, to operate a business, and to innovate in your business, that future may not look so good based on these numbers. What is Michigan in need of doing to improve in some of those areas going forward to maintain this standing as top 10 and, better yet, move up?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there, Tyler. And that data point really jumped out at me as well, as does, by the way, the one that I think is related to it closely, which is life, inclusion, and health. And I think that Michigan does have a bit of a problem. I mean, young people are, in many cases, moving away from the state. We don't have the kind of attractive state to move to that, say, the number one state in the country, North Carolina has, where people want to move there because of the nice climate and the various things to do, the nice urban areas. I mean, I think that everybody here in Michigan is well aware of the fact that we've got some work to do to make this a more attractive state for people to live in. Certainly cost of living is a great strength here. And I can tell you that as I've talked with other potential faculty members, people thinking of moving here to Michigan to work at Oakland University. And, we recruit people from around the world for those positions. One selling point is the fact that they can live very well here relative to certain other states based upon the salary that we receive. But that being said, we also don't have access to a lot of things that really make it an people want to live there. We do have some decent urban areas, but certainly nothing like you'd have, say, in New York, for example, or in California, or again, in North Carolina. We don't have the kind of public transportation that you see in some other places. So that's something that really weighs down on us. And the education really shows that, Michigan over the past few years, we have been disinvesting in education, and we've really got to turn that around. And I think one thing that is encouraging, that I think shows that the current administration understands this is a problem, is in their most recent budget, you can see that they had a big increase in funding for education. So my hope is that moving forward, we're going to see us jump up in that in that category. But really, that's something to be worried about in the long run, because unless we are educating the workers to stay here, and unless we are keeping them here, then after they graduate from college, then that really hurts us in the most important category, which of course is workforce. And up until now, at least with auto, that's been one of our strengths. But, will that continue to be the case? I don't know, unless we can really improve in those categories.
Dr. Michael Greiner from Oakland University joins us on today's edition of The Splash Live. We're talking about America's top states for business in 2023, a ranking made on a weighted scale every year by CNBC. Michigan standing at number 10. That is second in the Midwest behind Minnesota at number 5, the top 3 states in the Union: North Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee. All these have different strong points and different weak points. We mentioned some of Michigan's, but what's interesting, and to wrap things up today, Dr. Greiner, I just want to talk to you about why you even said you use this survey year after year in your research. It is done in a special way by CNBC. It is on a weighted scale, and it's not subjective, quite scientific, in fact.
Yeah, it is. They do a great job with this. And, what they're able to do is kind of gather together data from a number of sources. In fact, I was just looking at the list of all the sources of data that they've got. I think they've got like 50 different sources of data. And each one, again, is objective. I mean, they will look at things like, for example, the amount of time, this is one example of something, the amount of time that people on average are without power in the state, just to give you an idea of kind of how deeply they're drilling down in these things. And when they look at, like cost of doing business, they go much deeper than just, kind of looking at the kind of the top level data of how much taxes do businesses pay, but in a whole host of other things. For example, also with infrastructure, they look at, for example, the number of people living within 5 hours drive of the state. It's really amazing the level that they've gone through in this. And again, nothing is subjective where they're kind of asking people their opinion about the state. Every one of them is some measurable data point where they're able to essentially quantify something that the state offers to businesses. And these are the things that businesses have said that really matter to them. And again, I think it's worth emphasizing that the number one of all these things, people sometimes emphasize, we need to cut taxes or we need to, have this impact. But the number one is workforce. Number two is infrastructure. Number three is economy. None of those are just reducing taxes. So I think that it's important to note that, that the goal should be to try to increase the overall attractiveness of the state to business rather than simply trying to rely on one measure or another.
And that is what makes this such an interesting scale and such an interesting ranking each and every year. That's always changing year in and year out. You can find that full list on CNBC.com. Dr. Greiner, thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here and great to see both of you.
Glad to have you on the program. We'll take one final break on today's edition of The Splash Live. A couple minutes left in the show and a few more stories to get to. We'll come back after this short break with more. You're watching and listening to The Splash Live.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. This is Dayan Chaaban alongside Tyler Kieft. So, starting this weekend, the section of I-75 in Oakland County will be closed temporarily for the removal of traffic shift. The closure will be in effect in both directions between I-696 and Square Lake Road. During this closure, the ramps to northbound I-75 from I-696 to 14 Mile Road will be closed, as well as the southbound ramps from M59 to 11 Mile Road. This is necessary to facilitate a smooth and efficient removal process. This traffic shift removal is scheduled to be completed by 5 a.m. on Monday, July 24th. After that time, southbound I-75 will return to normal with 2 lanes between I-696 and 13 Mile Road. Additionally, northbound I-75 will open with 2 lanes from 9 Mile to 13 Mile Roads. And that'll be it for today, Tyler.
Yeah, that just an interesting note and something to keep in mind as you're traveling throughout Oakland County, especially if you're going up north for a long weekend later on today. Keep in mind on your way back, I-75 going to be playing a factor in your commute. A couple of interesting events coming up in the greater West Bloomfield community going on now and later on in the week. You can find some gems at the Tree Runner Adventure Park in West Bloomfield Township beginning today. Gem mining is on the docket at the Tree Runner Adventure Park. That's on the campus of the JCC. Tickets starting at $10. You'll be able to sift through a number of their special mining sluice locations to find gemstones of many kinds. And of course, then you can take to the air and go through their great adventure park right here in West Bloomfield Township. Then Friday afternoon in the heart of the lakes, the Kego Harbor Block Party is back. We hope you'll join us on July 21st with live music from The Pulse, some food trucks on site, including New Delhi, and local artists. You'll be able to see their art and even purchase some of their art as well and support Art Sale, local organization, a collective of artists from Keego Harbor and several other areas around the greater West Bloomfield community. We'll have Kirsten Sonneville Douglas on Friday's show to preview this month's edition of the Keego Harbor Block Party and talk more about that on tomorrow's program. That is going to do it for today's edition of The Splash. For our entire team, Dayan Chaaban, Calvin Brown at Master Control, Jared Clark, and more, I'm Tyler Kieft, and we appreciate you always tuning in to The Splash Live.